Okay, looks like we're live here. I'm just going to wait a few minutes. I'm going to wait a few minutes, and we're going to see if a special shout out to Facebook right now. I know Facebook is, there might be one or two, or there might be 5 people watching me from Facebook. So shout out to Facebook. We are streaming live through StreamYard. I believe it's StreamYard. Yeah, we're streaming live through StreamYard on YouTube, via YouTube and Facebook. And I want to welcome you to another live broadcast of Solutions and Answers with Coach Santos from Stockton, California. Are you looking for something? Are you looking for some type of direction? You're looking for a step forward. You're looking for something. You're looking for something. This is the right place at the right time, my friend. So I'm going to welcome you. And, you know, another thing that I want to ask before we even get started on this program, are you looking for somewhere to belong? Are you looking for somewhere to belong? You know, we're living in a very, very strange time, aren't we? I think it kind of hit me yesterday and this morning as I drove around town earlier today, thinking about my life and thinking about the wonderful things that I have and the difficulties that I'm going through right now. I am going to be sharing a little bit of my childhood. Maybe I'm going to see if we can go back and just take a peek at some areas. I know it's not going to be, it's going to be a little bit of challenge because I shared some of my past, but I've never really filled in the blanks. And I think that I think it's time for me to really, really start filling in some of those blanks, just get a little bit more specific. So, you know, I'm interested in learning. I'm interested in finding solutions. As I mentioned earlier, I'm interested in gathering with others. It's kind of difficult when you go out today in town, right? It's not like it used to be. I know in my little town here in Stockton, California, it's still pretty tight. You know, this COVID-19 is really putting, should I say COVID-19? I don't know if it's COVID-19 that's putting a real damper. I think it's just all the rules and regulations that we're all having to adapt. We're having to adapt. So COVID-19 doesn't really frighten me. I know that we should be very cautious about it. I just got news this morning where my dad stays here in Stockton that they've got like 3, it's not a very big facility. I think they might have maybe a 25, 30 patients in there. It could have more. A couple more cases of COVID-19. You know what comes to mind when people say that, COVID-19? I don't really know what's going on in those places. It could be something else, but everybody's calling it COVID-19. So this is the 4:05 hangout, 4:05 p.m. hangout, the place to be. All right. Interested in being on camera, by the way, if you're interested in being on camera, if you want to come on camera with me on this program, post it in the comments. I'd love to have you on camera. I am going to be sharing a little bit about my childhood, a little bit. It really depends. If people join, if nobody joins, then I'll just close shop and move on into something else. You know, folks, we have to really keep striving for where we want to go. We have to be willing to suffer. We have to be willing to fail. And I'll tell you, I'll be one of the first ones to say I failed every single day. I've missed my quotas. I've missed the mark, and yet I still keep going. You know, I've made, over the last few months, I've made some, you know, I have failed. I have failed myself. I might even have failed some of you. You know, how does that make me feel when I say that on open air, that I have failed, that I've missed quotas, that I have not achieved certain goals? And yet here I am again, you know, striving forward, just continually working on myself. I want to hang out with you today. Hopefully we can be challenged, right? Hopefully I'll challenge you a little bit, and hopefully you'll challenge me a little bit, because I know I definitely need it and I want it because I'm into growth. Let's get into the proverb for today. It's actually Hebrews 11:1. It's a very good proverb. And I want to definitely acknowledge those of you that are here today also. And again, shout out to Facebook. There might be a few watching on Facebook. But today's proverb is this. It's actually Hebrews 11:1. And you know, when I was reading it, because I read a proverb every single day, and I post it on Facebook every single day, Monday through Sunday, I post a proverb. When today's proverb came up, I thought, wow, what an interesting proverb, because this is what it is. Now, the substance of faith, or let me see if I can get it right. The substance of faith, actually, let me read it, because I'm getting a little bit, oh man. Now, the substance of faith, oh man, here I am again, just messing up. And I have this memorized. Now, faith is the substance of those things hoped for, but the evidence of things not seen. There it is. All right, I got it out, but let me get it right. All right, for those of you that read the Bible and meditate on Proverbs. This is the faith chapter, by the way. Hebrews 11 is called the faith chapter. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not yet seen. Now, that chapter in the book of the Bible is very filled, has a lot of deep spiritual meaning, and I'm not going to get into that. Primarily, that is the source of the Bible. It is a spiritual book. It looks like it's just a physical book with physical words, but it's not. It is a spiritual book, and it does have a lot of physical teachings in it too. So we're talking about faith. We're talking about believing in something that you don't see. And right now, we need to really grow our belief. My friend, if you hear anything today on this broadcast, you need to grow your belief. You need to grow your belief. Imagine what growing your belief would do for you. Think about that for a moment. William, welcome to the broadcast. Laura, welcome to the broadcast. And Jim's here. I want to ask before I do share, there was a follower on one of my videos that asked me to talk a little bit about my childhood. I don't know specifically what they were interested in, but I'm going to see if I can share just a little bit, maybe just open up my childhood, because you know, I'm a totally different person today. Obviously, I'm actually amazed at the work that I've been able to perform on myself. I've had a lot of help, my friends. I've had a lot of help, and sometimes I look at my life and I ask myself the question, where am I going with all of these things that I'm doing? As I said earlier, I fail every day. You know, I don't gamble anymore. That department is completely crushed. Gambling is broken. I don't gamble. I'm way beyond gambling today. Even though gambling, when I hit rock bottom I would say about 5 years ago. I don't even think too much about it, but it was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 6 years ago. Gambling was the culprit that actually allowed me to open the doors. So I'm not going to say I'm grateful for gambling, because I'm not. I hate gambling. Gambling's a lie. So I'm going to try to get into this here. Oh, by the way, if you do stay in touch with me, as it says on the screen, I want to give you a little gift. If you decide to want to stay in touch with me, I would appreciate that. If you email me, I will email you back. That's the person that I am. Okay. I'd love to stay in touch with you. See what you're up to. And of course, why not have a friend like me? You can always send me an email when you have an issue, and who knows, you might get, you might find that step, you might find that solution with that email that I send you back. Okay, I'm here to help people grow. That's what I'm about. I'm going to do a book giveaway today. at the end of the broadcast. So if you hang out, I am going to do the Little Red Book. I'm going to give that away via electronic email. All I need is just your email. So if you have, thank you, Laura. Laura says, great script. I'm working on myself. Thank you. Good to see you here. What's happening? Well, let's get into this. I want to, unless, if you have a question, you have something that's on your mind, you have something that's heavy on your heart that you want to talk about. And again, I respect you. If you don't want to talk about something here with us, I understand that. You can always message me. As I said earlier, you can send me a message and I'd be more than willing to listen to what you have to say. All right. I know that my time and your time, our time, is very important. It's not just important. It is, we shouldn't waste it, right? We should not waste it at all. With ourselves or with anybody else, we should not waste it. So what was my childhood like? I was thinking about this. I go back. My childhood was a mixture of highs and lows. I was born in a place called Cuamo, Puerto Rico. I believe that's what it says on my birth certificate. It says Cuamo. I think it says Ponce Aguana Diaz or something. But I was born in a hospital somewhere out there in Puerto Rico. And my parents, my father, Santos, and my mom, Inez, I want to be very careful what I say. Who knows? My mother might be watching this. I want to give them respect. I know my mom and my dad. My dad, on the other hand, he wasn't really there for me. He was never really there. He was there, but he wasn't really there. My mom was there, and she did the best that she could under the circumstances, because my mom lived under a lot of violence. My mom lived under a lot of threat. My father was not a happy camper. He had his moments, but most of the time he was very, very violent at home. Kind of paint a little picture for you there at my house. And there's a lot of I have a lot of blackouts from my childhood, and there's a reason for that. I go back and I try to think of these moments that I've had as a child. And sometimes it's a little bit challenging for me because I don't see family members in these certain experiences. And it's really hard for me to fathom that. My mind was going through so much as a child that I most of the time I didn't feel that I was present, if that makes any sense. Now, I grew up with mostly Puerto Ricans and blacks. I was born in Puerto Rico. We came to Hartford, Connecticut, right? My parents migrated to Hartford, Connecticut. Now, my father, my mother had visited other areas in the United States. I think it might have been Chicago or somewhere out there. But they came back to Puerto Rico, and then they came back to Connecticut. And eventually we settled in Hartford. This was I was born in 1966. And it was a very difficult childhood. I had a very difficult childhood. Very difficult childhood. There was a lot of fear in my childhood. I ran, as I said, there was mostly blacks, Puerto Ricans, and whites. I didn't know what a Mexican was, honestly. I didn't know what a Mexican was till I came to California. Isn't that something? I didn't know what a Russian was. I was not a very smart younger boy. I was not into studying. I was not into books. I was into escapism, if you can relate to that. I was into escapism. There was a lot of trouble in my home. There was a lot of, I don't really remember having any real conversations with my dad. I don't really remember having any real deep conversations with my mother, even though I believe she had. My mom would have conversations with us because she was the one that was closest to the children, always trying to protect us. And of course, we wanted to protect mom I wanted to protect mom because my dad, my dad was bigger than me. I was always the shorter. My sister's shorter than me. My sister Nancy. By the way, I grew up with my sister Nancy, my brother Fernando, who's a little bit older, and myself, and of course my mom and my dad. So we had an environment that was very, very difficult. Back in the 60s and 70s, there wasn't, when I look back, I mean, we were in hospitals. The police was visiting our home frequently. And there was really strange experiences that we had there with family members, mostly on my father's side. I remember my mom had a brother that stayed with us, but he was handicapped. And my dad was not a very smart man. And I remember his name was Chapello, my mom's brother. And he was handicapped. He was slow. He needed help. He couldn't really function, right? And my dad just didn't know how to really care for him at times. And there was times, I remember one time my dad, I don't know if it was my dad, they turned on the shower for Chapello. We called him Chapello. They turned on the shower for him. Why am I going here? Anyways, this is my childhood, some of the experiences that I had. Well, Chapello got burned under hot water. And, Chapello died very early on. He was handicapped. And I'll never forget that guy. I feel a tear coming to me thinking about him. But I don't remember, my brother Fernando was a big influence, even though he didn't know it. My brother Fernando was a big influence in my life. I don't remember a lot of my sister Nancy being around. I know that she was there, but I don't have a lot of memories of my sister for some reason. And I was always, I lived an unguarded childhood. My childhood was not guarded. I was not, my mom was there. She was always watching over me. My dad would whip me when I needed to be whipped. I know that. But I was not guarded. I roamed at a very, very early age. I roamed the streets, and it wasn't any better in the neighborhood. It wasn't any better than it was inside my home at times. I mean, the violence, the acts of violence that my dad would commit against my mother. I mean, this story can go on and on, but my dad was very violent, and he was suicidal also. Not only did he threaten my mother many, many times, not only did he physically abuse my mother many times in front of us. We saw it. We witnessed it. There was times where there was bloodshed. There was an ultimate act. I say an ultimate. There was, my mom had a really bad, violent act against her. I'm not gonna get into that here. It would be too much to explain. But my father stabbed my mother. Eventually, it would become like probably one of the last violent acts against my mother. He stabbed my mother 5 times. 3 times in the chest, 2 times in the back, right out in front of the apartment. It was probably around 6:30 in the evening that happened. And I recall seeing my dad in a police car. I ran out of the house. It's a lot of, but I'm going to condense it. Maybe I'll get into that I'll really break it down on another broadcast. But I remember seeing my father in the police car. I remember he was just sitting there dazed, like paralyzed, just like staring in front. I don't know if he looked at me when I stood in front of that police car. He was in the back seat. It was dark. I had a big black man holding my hand as we walked down the street after everything had happened. I didn't witness it because I ran out of my house, but I remember seeing the ambulance take off and people and all the chit chatter. It was kind of late at night. And then I remember seeing my father in the police car. Now, even after that incident, he would we would still bring my father back. Can you imagine? My mom was so afraid my dad would always work his way back. And, you know, we grew over the years. We grew, and my time is going by very quickly. I would find myself very early on, very early. In fact, I don't know if I really even know the age, but I would find myself experimenting with pills, taking pills. My dad used to take Valium, and there was another pill. How did I know about these things? My brother. And I would go out, obviously. The same thing that was going on at home was happening in the neighborhood. Arguments, fights, people getting shot, stabbed. So it wasn't any better. I mean, the neighborhood wasn't any better than being inside my home, you know, other than when there was a little bit of peace. I don't know if I really appreciated those times of peace because there was more darkness in my life. Listen, I was a very confused child. I was very confused. I was very, I was always looking for escapes. If it was drugs or alcohol, cocaine, you know, and of course, when you're young and you're thinking and you're in that kind of neighborhood with that kind of an environment, there's a lot of promiscuity too. You get involved in sexual activities at a very early age. That is, man, that is very, very destructive. This is kind of part of where I grew. This is kind of part of, not part of, this was my childhood. I had a friend by the name of Tony. We used to call him Donkey. I had a few friends. I was afraid of most girls. Listen, I lived in fear, man. I lived in total fear. The only reason why I had girlfriends was because most of them would approach me, or my sister would go out and bring them. Hey, somebody wants to get to know you, and then I'd go and meet them. But I was living in fear, and I was doing a lot of drugs. I ran around with this other young guy, Gilberto. And, you know, sadly, we don't stay in touch. I don't even remember a lot of my young friends. Some of them approach me on Facebook and they say, hey, man, I remember you. We used to go to the parties up there. Remember, you used to have a car. So I was like the only one in town that had a car. How did I end up 16 years of age? I got my license. I also had a motorcycle license, which I nearly killed myself numerous times. And then I gave up the motorcycle and I went into the vehicles. So I had like 4 or 5 cars between the ages of 16 and 18, because at 18, I left into the military. Where did I get the money? Where did I know my mom helped, but where did I get the money for these cars? And I would hang out with older people, and I would drive to these parties, right? The college, as I said earlier, this is the hangout on Sundays. This is the 405 hangout. And we used to have hangouts, right? You call these places where we go and gather with people a hangout. And people still to this day, some people approach me. Do you remember? I don't remember, man. I don't remember. I was so out of it during those times. And let me tell you, my friends, my friend Antonio passed away recently he had a liver transplant. We were doing stuff early on, my friends, early on. Gilberto is still alive. I know he's back in the Hartford area. And some of my other friends, they reach out to me here and there on Facebook and stuff. But a lot of them, I just don't remember. I don't remember. I do remember a lot of the violence that I saw. Isn't that something? You remember the violence and the struggles and all of these things. So most of my life, friends, most of my life, I lived in fear. Most of my life, I lived in fear. I'm going to bring us to today because there's a lot more that I could fill in, and maybe I'll do it at another time. What happened to me as a child guided me throughout the rest of, 40. I'm going to be 54 in October. So throughout all these years, all that stuff that I had as a childhood, those paradigms, those values, those beliefs, all of that stuff that I had guided me through all. Can you imagine what kind of a person I was? If you would have known me about 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have liked me. When I first met my wife, we struggled. We've been married 24 years. We struggled big time, big time, big time. I was showing signs of violence myself very early on in our marriage. I was demonstrating what my father had taught me at a very young age. Isn't that something? I'm glad that's over. Long over. But I tell you, man, I've been through some stuff in my life, man. I've been through some real dark moments. And I am so grateful today, honestly, to be here on this broadcast, sharing some of this. And I hope that you can relate. Again, this program is a live broadcast. It's solutions and answers. I invite you to come on the program, bring a question. Maybe you're stuck and you're not afraid to talk about it openly. We're searching. We're all searching. We're all looking for a place to belong to. I know I am. I do that all the time, right? You got to belong to a tribe somewhere where you benefit, where you grow, where your faith grows, where your character is developed, where you're challenged, my friend. Where you're challenged so that your gift shines, so that your gift comes out. How much time do we all have? I don't know. How much time do I have? I don't know. I'm going to be 54 years young this coming October, the 17th, and I hope that the Lord gives me more time because, what am I all about? What is Santos all about? Man, ever since I transformed my life, ever since I hit rock bottom from problem gambling and fear and trauma, because I've lived with trauma. I openly declare that I've lived with trauma, but I have had some very, very deep healing in my life. And where did this all begin? It began about 5 years ago. I started life hacking my way. I started listening to people that were way ahead of me. Well, I can give a bunch of names, but I'll just hold back on that. So I work on myself every single day. You know what? Coming to this broadcast, I think about this. Coming to this broadcast, this is a hangout. What does this do for me? What does it do for me when I reach out to you and I share my story and I share my failures? And you know what? I'm excited. I fail, but I'm excited. I fail, but I get up. I fail, but I'm focused. And a lot of people don't understand that. People see you failing, they call you a failure, but they don't know what's in your heart. See, people don't know what's in your heart. People don't know what the dream is. They don't know that burning desire that you have inside. Only you know that. Will you bring it out? The time for change is right now, my friend. The time for change is right now. All right. I think I've shared enough today. We're getting ready to end a little bit here. Hopefully, maybe I'll have a question or two from somebody here. I want to welcome Laura. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because somebody invited me to share my story. Maybe you can relate to what I've been through. Again, you know what? Nobody's arrived. Nobody on this broadcast has arrived. I haven't arrived. But I'll tell you one thing I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to be here every Sunday. Whether I fail, whether I make mistakes, whether I look funny in front of others, I'm going to be here because this is a hangout. I learn from this place right here. Even after I walk away, because I ponder what I talk about and I ponder the questions that you guys ask me. That's why it is so vital for us to ask questions. It is vital. It is growth, my friends. It is growth for you and I. I want to thank Woohoo 87. Homie, why are you not talking about gambling? There you go. Why am I not talking about gambling? Well, you have a question about gambling? Are you struggling with gambling? Again, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm here to help you, my friends. I'm here to help you. Listen, it wasn't too long ago where I lost over Listen, I had an inheritance, okay, over $200,000 a couple years ago. That went so quickly. And of course, I've probably gambled $1 million in my life. Who knows, maybe more. We're here to be real. We're here to, share. And again, if you're too embarrassed to bring a question, send me a message. Go to soldiersofselfmastery.com. I'll give you a free consultation. I will give you a free consultation, and we'll see where we can go from there. But if you hide in your darkness, if you stay in that swamp that you're slowly drowning in, you're going to stay there. So again, let's bring it to the table, my friend. Unless you face your problem, unless you confront that thing, unless you dissect it and dive in, it's like a steak, man. A steak's not going to, a good piece of filet mignon. I don't know. Maybe have you ever eaten a filet mignon? I like a little bit, not a lot, right? A little bit. But imagine a really nice, tasty, well done filet mignon there on a plate, just there, staring at you. You look at it. You can see the steam coming off of it. Maybe a few green beans on the side, right? If you don't take your fork and cut and dig in and get that inside you, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to experience the emotional high of flavors, right? It's the same thing with our lives. If you're not willing to dissect, take the fork and the knife and cut that thing up and look inside and figure out, why are you doing what you're doing? You can't live your life. My friend, you should not live. By the way, William, welcome. I see Jai G. Soto. Thanks for sharing. And then Laura and Jim. Of course, I've acknowledged all of you guys. A little bit here. We are coming down to the wire. Wow, my brother Santos, we had a similar upbringing. I can definitely relate. Turmoil, drugs, single parent, gambling. Man, yeah, it was. How did I even make it through those years, right? How did you make it through those years? Or how did your brother make it through those years? So if you have a question, if you don't want to put it on the airwaves, listen, share it. Send me an email. I'm more than willing to give you. Let me brag a little bit if I can here. Why should I brag? Because I can. Why should I brag a little bit here? Does that make me better than anybody else? No, it doesn't. In fact, it makes me lower because I need to serve you. But I've done some tremendous work on myself. I have many tools at my disposal. A lot of them are free. You have many tools at your disposal. A lot of them are free. Mind-mouth power connection, MMPC. That's free and clear. You have that. Whether you're using that in your life, I don't know. But sometimes it takes another person to help you open up. Sometimes it takes another person to show up with the fork and the butter knife and help you cut up your meat a little bit so that you can get some good bite-sized morsels and experience that sensation or that high of good flavor. I'm talking figuratively speaking here. I'm going to wait here for just a moment. And gambling is no good. Chulo. Yeah. If not checked, can gratitude be missed as rationalization or as an excuse to keep the status quo? Well, let's look at that. If not checked, gratitude. By the way, I'm glad that you brought this up, Jim. Coach Cephas and I just created a podcast, and I'm hoping that he'll put it on pretty soon. And it was speaking directly about gratitude. As a matter of fact, gratitude can be your best friend if you allow him or her to become a part of your lifestyle. I'm going to say that again. Gratitude can be your best friend, male or female, if you allow that to come into your lifestyle. Because gratitude isn't something that we do. Gratitude is a lifestyle. That's the way I look at it today. I look at it as a lifestyle. Jim says it could be misused as rationalization or an excuse to keep the status quo. I'm not too sure. I know that your question has a lot of meaning behind it. I see status quo, right? That could have something to do with pride. I see gratitude. Gratitude is the good one. And of course, I see the word checked. Rationalization or an excuse. We all have to look at ourselves individually. I don't know if this makes sense, Jim. You can let me know if this does. It might be somewhat of an answer to your question. We all have to look at ourselves individually. I think we all really need to look inside. And the thing is, the deeper that we look, the better, the deeper that we go. Of course, we see a lot of stuff, right? A lot of junk in the trunk, like they say, baggage, maybe some Samsonite luggage, Samsonite luggage in there filled with money deep down inside. You haven't found that in yourself yet, have you? But the deeper that you go, the more that you grow, I believe. Because when you deal with things, and of course, you know, my friend, you know, just like Jim, you know, right? You know, I don't have to tell you guys about your gratitude or about your, I don't have to. I'm just an encourager. I am a reminder, and I say this all the time, that your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. Your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. Do you believe that? You agree with that? It's true. So hopefully, you know, maybe you could let me know, Jim, if that question, you can maybe bring it out a little bit more if I didn't give you the right answer. And straight up tell me, hey, Santos, you missed the mark, man. That's not what I was thinking about. Communication, again, it is difficult texting. I'm live, right? I'm going to invite you. By the way, on the next program, if you're here, invite a friend. I hope that you're taking some notes. I hope. Invite a friend, bring a pen, all right? Invite a friend, bring a pen. We're going to be here. We are going to be here on Sundays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What was I going to say here? I've got a book giveaway that I'm going to do here. I've got a book giveaway that I'm going to do, and I've already, hopefully you're still here. I'm going to need an email. So William, let me see if he's still on here. William, I'm going to, Jim, I didn't forget you, man. If we're on track, let me know. Speak up, brother. I'd love to interact with you a little bit more here. All right. William, if you're still here, William Rivera, I've chosen you to send you the electronic book, right? By the way, we're going to be redoing it. There's a few editing errors. Send me right there on the screen, right there. If you can see right there, see where my finger is. Let me see if I can move it right there. See below where the screen is moving. soldiersofselfmastery.com. Send me a message. Send me your email. I'm going to have Coach Cephas send you a copy of the book. And as I said, if you're here and you haven't subscribed, there's the link. I'm going to give you a couple of free chapters. I'm going to give you a couple of chapters of the book just for subscribing and staying in touch with me. Now, of course, you want to stay in touch with me, right? If you don't want to stay in touch with me, you ain't going to subscribe to anything. And I don't flood your inbox. I send like 3 emails a week. That's it. They're very encouraging. They're very uplifting. There might be a video. Every once in a while, there might be something in there that I'm encouraging people to buy. Every once in a while. It's not something that I do all the time. All right, something that's valuable. All right, my friends. So William, let me post him on here because he is my big time winner. There's some new comments here. Let me see. No questions. I mean, I talk about gambling all the time, my friends. I talk about gambling, but you know, that's when that's not really a part of your life, you really don't talk. It's not too much in your conversation anymore. But I'm always willing to help somebody that's struggling, you know, a hand up. It's not about giving people a hand down. It's about giving people a hand up. But you got to be hungry. You have to be hungry. You have to want something. You know, and another thing that I'm going to leave you with, I want to leave you with this. Okay, next Sunday we'll be here 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Listen, my friend, some of you, I want to thank you for being with me on this broadcast. I really do, honestly. It's, this is, for me, this is a great opportunity to reach, who knows what I may be able to help somebody else with on this program. And of course, you're helping me too. You're helping me on this broadcast. Think about this, okay? Think about this. I'm getting ready to end. If I don't get another question, we're going to be ending the program. Let me see here. One more. We're getting ready to do our call to action. Yeah, I agree. It takes a lot of effort to remind myself about the positive talk. How do you keep it consistent? Great job. Great question. I think it's G or G Cito. How do I keep my mind consistent? Well, it's become habit for me. It's become habit. You see, I train my subconscious. That's part of what I do. That's what I learned to do. I learned to train my subconscious, because your behavior, what's happening inside your subconscious and your conscious mind, both, because you have like two parts. Of course, your mind has many parts. But what really operates your behavior and everything that you do throughout the day are values and beliefs that you have inside of your subconscious. Well, I've learned to retrain my subconscious. I've learned to get in there and remove some of those values, bad values, or bad beliefs that I had, and I've replaced them. It's been a work. I love doing what I do. I can teach this, but it is a work. My coaching is a little bit different. I usually don't teach people to train. That's a kind of very specific thing. But I'm always, if you pay attention, if you carefully watch and listen to what I share with you, and you take notes during these boring broadcasts, what's going to happen is when you look at your journal during the week, it's going to keep you reminded. And it'll get to the point, my friend, I guarantee you, it'll get to the point where it becomes so easy for you to be positive. Extremely easy. Every once in a while, you'll have negatives, but they will be far and few. The struggles that you have with addictions, you will be able to overcome those addictions with ease. Yes, with ease. It's a fact. Because when you change what's going on up here, it's automatic. It's automatic. It's going to change what happens in your life. The way you speak, the way you listen, the way that you see things, the way that you hear, the way that you experience life. What you eat, what you don't eat, what you drink, where you go, what you smell, all of that will be impacted by the changes that you make. I call it life hacking. I call it self-mastery. Therefore, soldier of self-mastery, right? Soldier of self-mastery. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, you could get my book. You could follow me. You could follow me on YouTube. I do a lot of self-mastery, self-development, and I'm always willing to help the person that is willing. If you're not willing and you come into my presence, I can pick up on your vibe, my friend. In fact, I can pick up on vibes right here on this program. I can pick up on vibes because this is what I do. I study behavior. I study the behavior. I study human psychology. I study speech. All of these things. Am I an expert at it? Well, I'm not an expert at it, but I've gotten really good. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself because you will get better as long as you believe, even if you have a little bit of belief. As long as you got a little bit of belief, you can grow your belief. Okay, here's what I want to end with. Thank you once again, those of you that have shared Write down your ideas. Listen, write down your ideas. Why? Santos, why should I write down my ideas? Because you're getting ideas all the time. The problem with most people is not, most people that have a lot of problems that are there, they're stuck. The reason why they're there, it's not because they don't have a solution. It's because they don't write down ideas. See, you get ideas all the time, all the time. Do you write your ideas down? Is my question to you. I'm going to encourage you to begin writing down your ideas, because one of those ideas could be an idea for you that, who knows, or many of those ideas. So I'm encouraging you. I'm going to share this with you. About 25 years ago, back in 1990, somewhere in the 90s, okay? I'm going to be ending here. Somewhere in the 90s, I believe it was, it might have been 94, maybe 93. I drove a car. Listen, after I got out of the military, I wasn't doing very well. I was not doing very well at all. So I got involved with a church. I got myself in a rehabilitation center. I was there for like 3 years. While I was there, I went back to visit my mom in Connecticut, and they gave me a vehicle. It was a Pontiac Trans Am. I drove, me and this other young man from the program, we flew to Connecticut. I tell you, that's another story. We went to Connecticut, and then we drove back from Connecticut. Oh man, the situations that we went through. Well, when I got the car back to California, I couldn't smog it. I had to get rid of the car. I couldn't smog it. I had issues. So we drove the car for a little bit, and I got rid of it. I came up with an idea while I was working on that car back in 1994, and I wrote down that idea. Now I've had inventions, ideas. I've got 5 of them written down, pictures, detailed, about what it is. 25, I've come up with ideas over the years, but 25 years ago, I wrote down an idea. I think it could have been longer, right? 1990, 94. I picked up that idea recently, about 4 months ago, and I'm working with a company right now that is in the process of producing all the materials that I need to go to a manufacturer to sell the idea or have that idea produced. The idea is actually a novelty. It is a component that is going to be used for vehicles, hopefully for motorcycles and bicycles. And it's just a novelty. It's just something that you add on to enhance the look of your car. And it's going to be really cool because it has these special features that you can actually do with it. Now, I've got more ideas. I've tried to share some of these ideas in the past with Sears and Husqvarna, a couple of major companies, vice presidents and presidents. It didn't work out. But I've still held on to those ideas. I still have them. But I decided about 4 months ago, when we hit this COVID-19, an opportunity opened up. A partner friend of mine decided to invest with me. And we are now building this novelty product in the automotive industry. My friends, this is the kind of stuff that happens to people. Now, where will that idea go? Where will that product go when we begin? I don't know. But I think it's a cool novelty. I think it is a cool. And the thing about that idea is that it was ahead of its time. The only reason why the reason why I couldn't make it back then, and I tried, believe me, I tried. The technology wasn't available to produce that thing. It wasn't there, but it's available today. So my friends, listen, I want to thank each and every one of you that have been here on this broadcast. I still see a bunch of people here. For some reason, you guys have enjoyed this broadcast. I have enjoyed it. And I'm willing to take one more question if somebody else has something else. If not, we're going to close the program. And I want to thank Laura. I want to thank Woohoo87. I want to thank Jim for sharing his great question. We got to look inside. We got to look inside ourselves. And who else was here? William, who got the book. Nahil Johnson, welcome. Appreciate Nahil. And then there's Angry Man Destroyer. Wow. Angry Man Destroyer. That's interesting. Hello. Nice to have you here. All right, my friends. Until my next broadcast, I will see you at the top. On the inside. Let me play a little tune before we go. Something that can't be taken from me. From YouTube, because YouTube frowns on non-copyrighted material if you play it. Sounds pretty good. All right. I got some new comments. I got a few people that are hanging out. Let me see. Nahil. Hi, Laura. Been raining here, but well overall. All right, my friends. Monday's coming. It's going to be a new week. New hours. New experiences. New life hacking. New you. Believe in yourself, my friend. Believe, even if it's little tiny belief. Poquito. I started out with poquito belief, but now it's growing, man. And I love it. I'm loving life, my friends. We're going to be back here Friday. Who knows? I might decide to start doing more live programming during the week. I'm not too sure. It's time and money. If I can get feedback from folks, if this is really reaching out, I'm willing to step a little bit further and do something a little bit more. My friends, I need your support, though. We've got a lot of projects that we're working on. If you want to donate to this mission, it's a tax-deductible contribution, soldiersofselfmastery.com. I welcome your donation, whether it's $2 or $5,000. We'll use it to help reach more people also. All right. Until my next one, may God bless each and every one of you guys.